Hello YouTube, this is Agent Silver, here with another episode of the Epic Weapons development. Now, from what you can probably see, a lot has changed since the last time I recorded. So, first off, to get this out of the way, everything is more organized. So there are specific areas of the platform for every class. So say this area is for Solus, this is for Nemesis, that's for Ghost, Tarvish, Yukon, Ash, and then this area over here is for miscellaneous stuff. And then so that's just one of the small things. Everything's more organized, it's a lot cleaner, there's a lot more platform to work with than there was before. So let's work our way up here. So new weapon to replace the Caltrop bomb for Ash. The concussion grenade. It's basically the same thing. It inflicts slowness. Well, it's actually pretty different, but you throw it and then it explodes after the same amount of time. And then when you get hit by it, if you get hit by it, you receive slowness and nausea for 15 seconds. And this includes you, as you could clearly see. Another thing you may notice is a new class selection area. I went with this style largely because you now have to stand in these little booths to select the classes. So, yeah. Nemesis has received some changes himself. He now has less damage resistance in his Wither form. I think it went from 80% to 60%. I just haven't updated the description on this yet. And he no longer has Wither's Aura or Wither's Protection, and he now has Wither's Aura, which instead grants him health regeneration and immunity to negative status effects. This was done largely because having the ability to gain protection against 4 out of the 7 selectable classes at the moment was kind of a bad move on my part. So, put Wither's Aura in your offhand slot, and it'll drain damage charge to allow you to regenerate health. And even when you put it away, you continue to regenerate health. So, moving on. Oh, another thing, before I move on, the Wither's Fury now drains damage charge at a rate of 10 per second versus the original 5, I think it was. So, it's a lot short, it lasts for a lot less time, assuming you don't feed it. So, let's get Ash out again. Now, some renovation has been done to the Wasteland. It is now much nicer looking, in my opinion. The gravel has been replaced with coarse dirt, so it looks more like a wasteland, and there are now these little caves that you can run through that also grant you cover from classes like Yukon, which is useful for melee classes, let me tell you. Or, yeah. And then, it also provides some extra flanks. So say there's a Yukon on top of this hill locking down the middle of the battlefield. You could flank him through this cave and, you know, depending on... Because Yukon isn't exactly a close-range class, he's pretty weak at close range, so being able to flank him is a... But that's besides the point. Point is, new flank routes, as well as cover. Current bugs, though, is you no longer receive poison from the water. That needs to get fixed. But let's go and find one of those. Back to hub booths. Over here. So, to run through the new features now. New map, as well as a new map format to come along with it. The barn. This map was contributed by my friend LegoFan. Many props to him. I love this map. I love the attention to aesthetic and the aesthetic detail, and the barn. The barn has 3 ways to get in, so it's not so. Even though it's kind of a choke point, it's a really hard choke point to lock down because there are 3 ways to get in. This area, the front door, which I just went through, and if I can get around here, the ladder in the roof, which can be accessed outside through this. So I think this map could yield some interesting gameplay. It's definitely a small map though, definitely for something like 1v1s or like up to 4 players. The bigger maps would be better off. You'd be better off running the larger maps for larger groups than 4 players. So, and then, and the barn replaced the jungle, which I don't think any of you ever saw because nobody ever played it. And a new class to replace Silver. A new class named Billy Boom has been added. Very funny name, I know. This class idea was contributed by my friend DoctorTnT. He's a genius, and Silver definitely needed to get replaced because basically what he did was think the evoker mob. That's all I need to say. He wasn't very strong and he couldn't keep up with anybody else. So this new class, we've been sort of jumping between a revolver and a shotgun, kind of, for his primary weapon. But basically, hang on, okay then. The revolver, so I guess first off, he has faster movement speed than most other classes, excluding Ash, who still runs faster than him naturally. And then his revolver, which does 2 hearts of damage on hit, and the shots penetrate, assuming we're going to make this his primary weapon. Holds 6 shots and has a 3-second long reload, I think? Yeah. And then he has a toolbox, which he can right-click with to sacrifice 2 hearts to place a sentry. Once placed, the sentry will construct and become fully active after 3 seconds. And once it's active, it will target the nearest enemy within an 8-block radius around it, and deal 2 hearts of damage to them per second. Sentry guns have 10 health, as sentries have 10 health, and will, and once, if it gets destroyed, you have to wait 5 seconds before you can place another one. So, to demonstrate, excuse me, this is the sentry. Now, I can't I can't demonstrate it attacking me because I can't demonstrate the sentry attacking me because if I were to go and switch class, the sentry would get destroyed. But it does get hurt. It does take damage. Like, I can punch it right now. As it takes damage, it will begin to smoke. And if it takes enough damage, it'll begin to... Yeah, it starts to get set on fire, and when it gets destroyed, you have to wait 5 seconds before you can get it back. However, he has a deconstruction tool. You hit your sentry with it, you will deconstruct it immediately, and you will not suffer a construction delay penalty. You will not, you'll get the toolbox back immediately if you deconstruct it. Very useful for moving your sentry around and for repairing it, but keep in mind, you do sacrifice 2 hearts, so it's not always the best decision to place a sentry. Like, if I go and just... In addition, if you do not have enough health to place a sentry, you cannot place the sentry at all. So, I have 2 hearts, I have less than 2 hearts, and I am holding right click. And I cannot place the sentry. I can only place it if I have at least 2.5 hearts. This is largely to prevent players from placing the sentry and then dying, and then having the sentry avenge them through death. It's also to make the health sacrifice is also to make it so you have to decide in battle whether or not you want to place a sentry, or if you want to keep the health and hopefully survive longer. So that's about it. I'm not sure if I should. No, I'm just gonna demonstrate it anyway. The Slugger. It's another weapon that we're currently trying to test. The Slugger is another weapon that we're currently trying to test. Let me just go and reselect the class. The Slugger is another primary weapon we're trying to see how well it would work with this guy. So, he does 6 hearts of damage on hit, and it obviously does not have very much range, especially in comparison to the revolver. Holds 4 shots, and it fires about as fast as Yukon's grenade launcher, with a 4-second reload time. I am probably going to increase Yukon's grenade launcher reload time too. The slug does 6 hearts of damage on hit. That's quite a lot of damage, which is why it attacks so fast or so slowly. And that's about it. So I'm going to be doing some playtesting later with me and my friends to decide whether or not the Slugger or the revolver would be better off with this guy. You'll just have to stick around for that. And yeah, I will. So until next time, goodbye, YouTube.